Hello viewer, thank you for tuning in to Elimu TV where you watch and learn. This is Business Form 3, and in case of any question or any feedback, you can get to us through our SMS number 22518. You can also use our Facebook page Elimu TV or our Twitter handle, which is Elimu_KE. We are still on size and location of a farm, and today we shall be looking at the location of a farm. But before that, we are going to start by looking at our last lesson. I remember at the end of our last lesson, I gave you some assignment that you are supposed to answer. So let's start with that. You are supposed to give the factors determining the size of a farm. Factors determining the size of a farm. Factor number 1 was the number of employees, the number of people employed in a farm. We said that if a farm has many employees compared to another, so if we have two farms, one with, for example, 200 employees, another one with 50 employees, the one with the highest number of employees is the one that is said to be a larger farm. So the size of that farm is big. So a bigger farm is expected to have more employees. So the higher the number of employees, the larger the farm, and the little the number of employees, the smaller the farm. The other factor is the floor area covered by the premises. Floor area covered by the premises. And this one is judged in terms of the area that the farm sits on. So a larger farm is expected to cover a larger area compared to a smaller farm. So if you have farms A and B, farm A is built on a land of 20 hectares. Farm B is built on a land of 5 hectares. You would conclude that the farm A is larger than farm B simply because it covers a larger area than the other one. So the larger the area covered by a farm, the larger the farm. The other factor is the capital invested. Capital invested. This is the amount. Capital is the amount that is used to start a business. We refer to that as capital employed. We said that the farm with the highest capital employed is the one that is said to be a larger farm. If you have farm X and Y, the capital used to start farm X is 5 million. The capital used to start farm Y is 10 million. You'd conclude that farm Y is a larger farm compared to farm X, simply because the amount that was used to start farm X is larger. So the higher the capital used, the larger the farm. And the other factor that can be used to determine the size of a farm is the market served. The market served. So we find that there are some farms that serves even a whole country. You also have some markets that can only manage to serve one county, another one that can only manage to serve a district. So when you talk of the market area served, the farm that serves a huge or a wide market is said to be a larger farm. For example, if you have a farm that is able to serve the whole country, that is to supply the goods and satisfy the needs of all the consumers that we have in a country, such a farm is large compared to another farm that maybe is only in a position to serve only one county, to serve only one county. So the larger the market area served by a farm, the larger the farm, and vice versa. So a farm that covers all, that supplies its good to a larger area is said to be a large farm. There are also other factors that are used to determine the size of a farm. For example, we have the profit generated, and we say that a farm that generates a huge or a bigger profit is said to be larger. The other factor maybe that you can use, there are other factors that you can use to tell the size of a farm. So think about them and you add them to the points that we've already discussed. So let's now look at the specific objectives of this lesson. By the end of this lesson, the learner should be able to explain the factors influencing the location of a farm. Explain the factors influencing the location of a farm. So what are those factors that are likely to influence the location of a farm? When we talk of location of a farm, we mean where the farm is going to be built or is going to be situated. So we have those factors that influences the location of a farm. We are going to start by highlighting them. Then we look at each and every factor in details and find out more on how such a factor can influence the location of a farm. Those factors include, number one, the cost of land. The cost of land. Remember, for a farm to be built, one has to first acquire land. Remember the four factors of production. There are those factors without which production cannot take place, and land is one of them. So, how does the cost of land influence the location of a farm? We are going to look into that in details. The other factor is the nearness to raw materials. Raw materials are those resources that are used to produce an end product. That is a product that is going to be consumed by the consumers. So those items that you use to produce such goods are the ones that are referred to as the raw materials. The other factor we shall be looking at that affects or influences the location of a farm is the accessibility to markets. Market is where you find the consumer. Remember, without the consumer, production of goods cannot take place or even cannot even continue because if the goods produced are not consumed, then there is no profit. Therefore, production of goods cannot take place. Therefore, we are going to see how the accessibility or being able to reach or get to the market is likely to affect the location of a farm. The other one is the accessibility to good transport system. Remember, the production of goods cannot take place without transport. Transport is very vital because everything that is needed in the farm has to be transported, including the employees themselves. They have to move from where they live to the farm to work there. Consumers has also to move to get the goods for sale or for consumption. So we find that transport system is very, very important. The other one is the government policies. Government policies. Before a farm is located, one has to consider government policies because maybe, for example, if the farm is going to be using machines that are producing a lot of noise, such a farm is not supposed to be located near residential areas. If that happens, that is against the law, and therefore the government comes in. So one has to observe the policies that are put up by the government of a country. The other one is the availability and the cost of labor. Availability and the cost of labor. Before one starts a farm, you have to make sure that you have the right professionals, or the people who will be working in the farm are available. And number two, you will afford to pay them. The other one is the cost of power supply. Cost of power supply. When we talk of power, it's all about electricity. Because remember, the machines that will be used in the farm will need power. Some machines, actually a majority of machines cannot work without using power. So power is very important. The other factor is the availability of social amenities. Availability of social amenities. For example, banking services, hospitals, schools, all that amenities. They are important because the children of those who are working in the farm will need to go to school. People will always get sick. There is money that is generated by the farm, and it is very unsafe to keep the money generated from the sale of goods in the farm. So we need banking services. So one has to consider that. The other factor we shall be looking at is the environmental factors. Environmental factors. You also have availability of water. Availability of water, very important. Remember, cleanliness is next to godliness. Therefore, in a place where you have people working, cleanliness have to be maintained. Number two, you also have some machines that get very hot when they are being used in production of goods. Therefore, they need cooling. You're also going to look into that in details. The other factor is the provision of security. Provision of security. It's not safe to put up a farm in an area that has so many social evils. So security is a very important factor. The other one is room for expansion. Remember, aim of each and every business person or business organization is to expand in the future and be able to produce more. Therefore, this is also another factor that influences the location of a farm. Do you need an area maybe in future to expand? Or if there are any plans of expansion, is that room available? So we shall be looking at each and every factor in details, and without waste of time, let's move to our factor number one. This factor also affects or influences the location of a farm. Nearness to the source of raw material. Nearness to the source of raw material. And you find that farms will be located near the source of raw material. Most especially if the raw materials are perishable, that is, they go bad easily. If the goods go bad easily, it's advisable for the farm to be located near the source of raw materials. That is, the raw materials go bad easily. If the raw materials are bulky, remember, bulky goods are usually very heavy. Unlike some, for example, cotton may be bulky but not heavy, but some goods are bulky and very heavy. So if that's the case for the raw materials, it's advisable for the farm to be located near the source of the raw materials to make sure that the cost of transporting them are minimized as much as possible. And the other reason why a farm can be located near the source of raw materials if there is a need for constant supply. That is, constant supply is needed. If the raw materials need to be supplied every now and then it will only be wise for the farm to be located near the source of the raw materials. Once again, raw materials are those goods that are used to produce the final products. The other factor influencing the location of a farm is the cost of land. The cost of land. As you know, land that is usually near the town centers is very expensive compared to other pieces of land in the rural areas. So if the market is mainly in the urban area, then the farm will have to go for a piece of land that is close to the market. On the other hand, if the market is widespread, that is, the market is not concentrated in one area, the farm may be located where the cost of land is low. That means that if the market for the goods is not around one area, then the farm can be located in the interior regions where the cost of land is low. The other factor influencing the location of a farm is the accessibility to the markets. Accessibility to the markets. And the market is where the goods are sold. In the market, you'll find the consumer. A farm will be located near the market for its products, most especially if the products are heavy and bulky. Remember, if the products are heavy and bulky, the cost of transporting them is very high. Therefore, that would make the price of the goods to also be high. And therefore, if the products are heavy and bulky, it's advisable for the farm to be located near the market. If the goods are perishable, that is, they go bad easily, it would be wise locating the farm near the market to make sure that the goods are getting into the market before they go bad. If the goods are fragile, that is, they break easily. They can easily break. It would also be wise for the farm to be located near the market to make sure that movement or interference of the goods is minimized, simply because the distance to be moved is small. A farm would also be located near the market if there is need to control the market. If the farm has to make sure that it is controlling the market, it cannot do so. That won't be possible if it is very far from the market. The other factor is the accessibility to good transport networks. Accessibility to good transport network. Transport network includes railway, road, and air systems. So we find that transport is very vital for a farm. Good transport is important for the transportation of raw materials to the factory. Remember, the raw materials are used to make the goods. So these raw materials need to be transported to the factory. So good transport system is needed for this. Because remember, without the raw materials, there can't be the goods or the products for sale. It is also important, transportation is also important for the movement of finished goods to the market. Remember, after goods have been produced, they have to be taken through transportation to the various destinations where the consumers can reach them and therefore buy them, so that production in the factory can continue. It is also important for the transportation or for the movement of customers from their homes, maybe to the market. Also, the workers who are working in the farm has also to move to the farm where they are working. So we'll find that transportation in general is very important for the smooth running of a farm. That marks the end of our lesson for now. During our next lesson, we are going to continue with these factors affecting the location of a farm. I'm going to review that an assignment for today's lesson. Explain how the following factors affect the location of a farm. Explain how the following factors affect the location of a farm. 1, raw materials. The other one is the market. And finally, transport network. Let's now look at our business quote of the day. If you are trying to create a company, it is like baking a cake. You have to have all the ingredients mixed in the right proportion. Think about that. Keep it Elimu TV and continue to watch and to run.